The world as we knew it ended on a Wednesday, forever branded in the annals of history as the reckoning. It was the day when an unanticipated genetic mutation sparked a global catastrophe, transforming regular citizens into grotesque, bloodthirsty mutants. As the sun rose, it ushered in a post-apocalyptic world. 4 survivors, Max, Sarah, Eli, and Becca, managed to endure the initial hours of chaos. Max was a grizzled former Army veteran, scarred by wars that now seemed quaint compared to the horrors unleashed. Sarah, a pragmatic ER nurse, carried the weight of humanity in her caring hands. Eli, a street-smart techie, harnessed his ingenuity to keep them safe, while Becca, an introverted historian, recorded their struggle for any future civilization to learn from. Their refuge was an old hotel, a once grand establishment named the Hotel Granville, looming like a monolith of better times over the devastated cityscape. From the top floor they could survey their new world. But they were not safe. The hotel was not a castle, it was a prison, and their cell was the penthouse suite. Food was their immediate concern. Their bellies ached from hunger, the gravity of their situation amplified by their physical weakness. Determined, they ventured out on a grim scavenging mission on the second day. They chose the nearest convenience store, ironically named Happy Shopper, a bittersweet reminder of simpler times. The scavengers split up, each tending to an assigned section of the store. Max found electric skillets, surprisingly intact. Eli worked on reconfiguring them for future use, his hands deft with the task. Sarah busied herself with cans of beans and packets of dried food, while Becca found water bottles and medical supplies. They worked in unity, their hearts pounding with adrenaline, but also a glimmer of hope. However, the relief was short-lived. As they approached the exit, their getaway soured. 8 mutants, a grotesque parade of former humans, barreled through the door. As the mutants crashed through the store entrance, their ghastly forms cast large, monstrous shadows on the tiled floor. Their grotesque appearances were a chilling reminder of the mutation that had torn humanity asunder. Their once familiar eyes were now vacant, the souls within lost forever to this terrifying new world. The moment Max spotted them, time seemed to freeze. It was a standoff between predator and prey, the ticking bomb of their inevitable pursuit hanging heavily in the silent store. Then, with a guttural roar, the mutants charged, shattering the stalemate. The countdown to their survival began. Max was the first to bolt, his soldier's instinct taking over. He dashed through the chaos, navigating the once familiar grocery aisles turned maze of horror. Canned goods were knocked over, their metallic clangs drowned by the mutants' feverish roars and the pounding heartbeats echoing in each survivor's ears. His eyes were locked on the exit, the path to their sanctuary, the Hotel Granville. Sarah, Eli, and Becca were quick to follow, their minds overwhelmed with terror, but their survival instincts driving them forward. Sarah clutched the backpack of medical supplies and canned food tightly against her chest, the weight a grim reminder of their dire circumstances. Eli ran with a mixture of terror and determination, his hands gripping the reconfigured electric skillets. They were not weapons, but they were hope. Hope for another day, another meal, another chance at survival. Bringing up the rear was Becca, the historian, the recorder of their struggles. Her breaths came in gasps, her legs pushing forward even when they screamed in protest. The race back to the hotel was a blur of pandemonium. Their city, once a bustling testament to human achievement, was now a monstrous labyrinth. Abandoned vehicles were strewn across the roads, store windows shattered, their contents looted, and the once busy streets were eerily quiet, save for the horrifying pursuit. Their relentless hunters echoed their chase with chilling roars, the mutants' stamina proving superior to their human prey. Every glance back showed their pursuers closing in, their eyes glowing with a terrifying hunger. The once short distance to the hotel seemed to stretch into an endless path. Max was the first to reach the hotel's entrance, his exhausted body fueled by sheer adrenaline. He rammed his shoulder into the barricaded door, the impact jarring his senses, but forcing the obstruction to yield. As the others stumbled in behind him, they could feel the hot breath of the mutants on their heels. The hotel's grand staircase, their stairway to relative safety, stretched dauntingly before them. Their weary bodies willed up the steps, each footfall echoing their desperate prayer for survival. The chase was terrifying. a test of their endurance and will to live. Every gasp for breath, every pounding heartbeat, every desperate sprint painted a horrifying picture of their struggle. It was a race not just towards the hotel, but towards hope, towards another day in this post-apocalyptic nightmare. The once grand Hotel Granville, now their fortress, was a finish line that carried the weight of their survival. Their pursuers were relentless, their screams a chilling symphony in the desolate cityscape. Max led the charge, his military training kicking in. Sarah, clutching her medical supplies tightly, followed closely. Eli and Becca, their youthful energy propelling them forward, brought up the rear. They managed to penetrate the barricade of the hotel, their sanctuary turned fortress. They stumbled up the grand staircase, their exerted breaths echoing through the eerily quiet hallways. The former grandeur of the building now felt menacing, the gold-inlaid balustrade and ornate ceiling mirroring their grim situation. Once they reached their room, they slammed the door shut, barricading it with anything they could muster. Peering from their balcony, they saw the mutants assaulting the hotel's front door. The sight of the monstrous figures, silhouetted in the crimson twilight, was a tableau of pure horror. Relief washed over them as the creatures struggled to gain entry, and they retreated into the suite. Their brief respite ended with the sound of splintering wood. The mutants had forced their way in. The hotel's once grand lobby echoed with their feral cries, sending shivers down the survivors' spines. A tense game of cat and mouse unfolded, with the survivors sneaking through the vast hotel, trying to avoid their hunters. In the basement, the mutants found them. Eli was the first to go, a brave attempt to fend off their attackers ending in a brutal crescendo. His screams echoed through the basement, ricocheting off the cold concrete walls. Sarah, paralyzed with terror, could only watch as he was overtaken, a futile effort to help resulting in her own capture. Becca and Max were cornered in the hotel's decrepit kitchen, a place once filled with laughter and clinking utensils, now stained with their desperation. They fought back with whatever they could find, a rusty knife, an old broom, their attempts only inciting the mutants further. In the ensuing struggle, Becca was pinned against a corner. Her sobs were drowned out by the guttural grunts of the mutant holding her, its eyes vacant and devoid of humanity. Max watched in despair, the knife in his hands trembling. He lunged at the mutant, aiming for its jugular, but another quickly tackled him. His vision blurred as the world he knew faded away. His last sight was Becca's horrified face, her hand reaching out towards him in a futile gesture. His ears echoed with the mutants' victory cries, his senses overwhelmed by the grim reality of their doomed fate. The Hotel Granville stood tall in the morning light, its once revered grandeur now a haunted house of horrors. The echoes of their last stand reverberated through its silent halls, the only testament to their courage in a world devoid of hope. Their tale was a tragic symphony of survival, each note composed of their undying will to survive in a world gone mad. Max, Sarah, Eli, and Becca, four ordinary people thrust into an extraordinary situation, had fallen prey to the terrifying mutants, their story ending within the somber walls of the Hotel Granville. When you subscribe, be sure to hit the notification bell. Click here for more true scary stories.